Most anglers out there, including my own clients, way overcomplicate crankbait fishing thanks to all that social media noise out there. But after professionally fishing, years in the fishing industry, and even writing my own book on how you can simplify your fishing, I found that there are only two things you really need to know that will catch you fish year-round with crankbaits. So in this video, we're going to break down those critical steps so that you know exactly how to select the right crankbait for the right conditions. And all right, so the first critical thing that you have to know about crankbait fishing is body style. And there's two main body styles that you have to pay attention to when you're selecting your crankbait, and this is going to be the first one. This is going to be a round body style crankbait. And what this means is the rounder the crankbait, the more of a wobble, the wider the wobble you're going to get when you retrieve it. The wider the wobble you get, the more vibration you're putting out there in the water. And this could be really great for very cloudy water or for conditions when the fish are pretty active and this thing is vibrating like crazy, shouting at the fish, "Here I am, come eat me." And that's typically referred to as loud lures. So if you hear that, that's really what people are talking about. A lot of vibration or a lot of noise in the water, something that's shouting at the fish. Now, something that you're not going to hear, because this is terrible advice that you're going to hear on YouTube, is that this should only be used for aggressive fish or very cloudy water or whatever. And nothing could be further from the truth. So I want you to imagine this. You're riding a bike and you're riding your bike uphill. So that resistance of you riding your bike is really going to force you to slow down. And that's the exact same with these baits. That resistance of this bait, a wide body crankbait, as it comes through the water, will force you to slow down in a world where everybody tells you to have 8-to-1 gear ratio reels and extra fast action rods, and you might be fishing just way too fast. Now, this is the same advice I give for your spinnerbait fishing or your chatterbait fishing or a lot of different types of fishing applications out there, where if you just add more resistance, like for a spinnerbait, a big old Colorado blade, it will force you to slow down, and that slow retrieve will actually help you just catch so much more fish when fish are inactive. And all right, so our next body style here that you're going to want to know is going to be your flat styled crankbaits. Now, these crankbaits will have a very tight side to side motion to it, very unlike the round style crankbaits. So this is what's called more like a finesse style crankbait fishing. Now, you do have to keep in mind, if you are fishing for those cold or finicky fish, that you have to slow down your retrieve with something like this, because you could really burn these things through the water. But that very tight back and forth motion of this bait can be ideal for triggering more subtle bites. Let's say you're in very clear water or you're dealing with fish that are just not looking for a lot of motion or a lot of disturbance in the water, those loud baits. This could really be ideal for something like that. So there's your flat body and your round body crankbaits. So another key thing to understand with your crankbaits is it really is the shape of your crankbait, not the size or the length. So this is a round body crankbait that's very stout and you're going to get a wide wobble out of it. And this is a very long crankbait that's round, but you're still going to get that same wide wobble out of it just because of the roundness of the bait. And look, something else that I have to point out, these are not freshwater techniques. These are not largemouth bass techniques. This is an SP minnow that I catch striper and I catch a lot of bluefish with. I catch a lot of fish in saltwater and freshwater environments with the exact same concepts. And that's something I really try to get across in this channel, right? Like, people will watch only largemouth bass fishing for largemouth bass fishing or crappie for crappie fishing, or you name your fish. No. And you know, this is what I wrote the book about a lot. It's these fishing tactics that you can apply to lots of different fishing situations, saltwater or freshwater. It would just catch you a ton of fish. Now, if you are interested in how to put these lures right in front of a fish's face, go ahead and check out my free app right here, where I actually develop something to help you find fish anywhere, anytime, so that you can catch more fish when you're out there on the water. So go ahead and check it out. It's free. I'll put it in the link below. And the second critical piece to your crankbait fishing is going to be these guys right here, which is the bill. Now, there's two critical types of bills that you also need to know, and this is going to be the first one. This is the Coffin style bill that's going to be a little bit longer, meant for deeper running crankbaits. It's not just enough to find your fish, especially in the wintertime where fish move more vertically in the water column than they do horizontally, because they're trying to find that right right comfort zone in deeper water. So it's important to figure out where those fish are. It's a total myth that fish just lay on the bottom in the winter in the deepest parts of the lake. There's lots of times where fish will move up in the water column to take advantage of that sun shining down on them so they could get just a little bit warmer. Now, if your fish are more shallow, there's these style crankbaits, which are the shallow bills or the shorter bills. So the longer the bill you have, the deeper the crankbait will run, and the shorter the bill is, the more shallow it will run. This is also your square bill crankbait, not the Coffin style. And an advantage to the square bill right here is the surface area. So if you are fishing a little bit shallow, this wider surface area of the square bill will actually allow you to deflect your crankbait off of a lot more cover. So if you're fishing on rock or wood stumps or some kind of hard piece of cover, this lure will run down, hit that cover, and it'll deflect off. It'll bounce off that cover, and that will trigger a ton of bites. So don't be scared to throw your crankbaits into some cover to get some fish. That's also a great reason why I always tell people not to buy super expensive crankbaits, okay? Like, you know, Mega Bass and all these baits that cost you $30, $40, $50 for a crankbait, because a lot of times what will happen is people won't want to throw their expensive baits into a lot of cover where the fish live because they don't want to lose $50. The downside of that, of course, you have a really fancy, beautiful looking bait outside the water, but if you're not throwing it where the fish live, you're not going to catch any fish. So hence, these baits right here. This is a striking KVD bait. It's not that expensive. I think it's like $6 or $5 or something like that. So now the question becomes, what kind of gear should I use for something like this? And I can't stress this enough. The gear is so important to the success of your crankbait fishing. And it goes against all that crap that you hear out there at YouTube. Avoid at all costs the extra fast action rods, avoid braid, and avoid fast gear ratio reels. How's that for bucking the system there? So what you really want to keep in mind is there is a lot of wobble and vibration to these lures. So what you really need is a moderate action rod. You need that rod to absorb all the pressure of the lure so that A, it swims right, and B, when a fish does hit it, you're not just ripping these treble hooks right out of the fish's face. So you're going to need that shock absorption from the rod, both on the presentation and when you set the hook on the fish. So moderate action rods are an absolute must. The other thing you should really look at is your line. Monofilament line is key for these things. Again, monofilament has stretch to it, so when you set the hook with these trebles in a fish's mouth, you're getting even more shock absorption, and you'll hear some sayings like, it'll better allow me to pin the fish. Basically, what that means is between the monofilament line stretching and your moderate action rod having a nice bend to it, which is giving you a lot of shock absorption, the fish won't be able to jump and throw these trebles. You're not going to be able to rip the trebles out of the fish's mouth. You're just going to be able to fight the fish and land the fish way easier. You'll be amazed at how much your hook rate success goes up and how much your landing of the fish goes up if you combine a moderate action rod with monofilament line. And then last but not least, the reel. Go slow. Like I'm just telling you, it is so easy to reel these things in way too fast. And look, if you have a slow gear ratio reel, like a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel, that's what I would recommend. If you need to go faster, you just reel the handle faster and you'll make up the line quicker that way. It's much harder to train your brain to slow down when you reel in than it is to speed it up. So go slow with your reel. 5-to-1 gear ratio is all you really need. So now you know the body structure of a crankbait, the bill, the depth you should be fishing, and a couple of different seasonal patterns where you could target your fish. But none of that will matter unless you know how to find fish first. And if you need help with really locating the fish in your areas, go ahead and click on this video right here where that's exactly what I explained, because lures don't matter unless you can present it in front of a fish. So go ahead and check that out, Fishalots. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you out there on the water.